back. As you can see, we are going to watch an analysis to War Warhammer gameplay video for the dwarfs. Fulgrim, the High King of the Dwarfs, has just been ambushed by the hordes of goblins in the underground, so let's watch. First time I'm seeing this video as well.
Hello and welcome to the first Let's Play for Total War Warhammer. I'm your friendly neighbourhood community coordinator Joey Dalton, and I am joined by Al the Hatman Bickham.
Hello.
Who will be driving our battle for us today, and Simon the Man.
Hello.
So we're going to show you the ambush at the Thundering Falls. You'll be able to play as the dwarfs, as High King Fulgrim Grudgebearer, and you'll be facing off against Knobnails Backbiter.
That's right.
So we're going to hop right in and talk you through some of the units that you will be playing with. And just a reminder, everything that you see here is pre-alpha footage, so it may be subject to change.
March on, brave Dowie! March on! To the cursed realms of the Groby we go. I know not what mischief they cause, but they're up to something, for my beard hitches with trouble. We take the underway, these ancient highways, built by dwarf hands, give us the best chance of approaching swiftly, catching the greenskins unawares. Let us not dawdle, for there are grudges to settle, and new entries in the Dammer's Cron to right.
Okay, you can see the dwarfen throng arrayed on the hill here, led by, there he is, High King Fulgrim Grudgebearer himself, actually reading from the Dammer's Cron right in front of him, the Great Book of Grudges. Joined by Thane as well. This is one of the agents. This is a melee agent, so he runs around the campaign map, does actions, can be attached to an army and get stuck in with the rest of the dwarves. So they're a very defensive army. As you can see, I mean, they're great artificers. They create these wonderful cannons, which are really, you know, some of the most potent in the old world. So,
Potent is an understatement when it comes to the organ gun and dwarven artillery.
The flame cannon here, which spews these kind of superheated packets of oil and tar, doing big splash damage. Organ guns here, kind of repeater cannons, great against massed infantry. Iron Drakes with these big sort of underslung alchemical flamethrowers. Look, they even got beard armor, because, you know, who wants to singe your beard when you've got a flamethrower? It's not good. So, Thunderers here, kind of like Marksman, good armor-piercing ability as well, so, you know, useful against heavily armored units. And Quarrelers, Crossbowmen as well. Now, Slayers, these guys are pretty cool. Yeah, totally. They're unbreakable, so they're kind of berserkers, effectively. And if you look at the panel on the side here, it says anti-large, so they're useful against the big monsters. So we're going to get those, tour in against those. We've got lots of Dwarf Warriors as well, who are excellent in melee and, you know, can really, really take a charge really well. As I said, very, very sort of defensive army. So I'm going to get them all set up now. So I'm going to go for a pretty standard defensive formation because we are going to be attacked by waves of greenskins. So, and they're all going to be coming, you know, there's a main kind of force in the distance over there, but we're also going to see them pouring out of these kind of side roads. That they've overtaken a bit of the ancient dwarven stronghold there. But yeah, out of these side roads, they are just going to come wave after wave. So I'm going to stand and defend as best I can. So, right, that's those guys set up. Let's get my ranged chaps on the hill here. Can actually get both my units of Iron Drakes over this side. Because, you know, it may surprise you to hear, I've played this battle once or twice, so I know where they're coming from.
Nice.
So, is that cheating?
It isn't.
Okay, good. Excellent. Right, oops.
Although if you lose, there will be egg on your face.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
We won't let you live it down.
It won't be the first time. So I'm going to keep those guys in reserve as well. Right, let's get started, actually.
Good luck, Al.
Thank you. Right, let's do a little bit of early manoeuvring. Get these guys out in the field so they're not going to get shot in the back by my own gunners.
Yeah, I have taken a lot of damage from friendly fire,
Yes.
especially with the Iron Drakes.
Yeah.
But kind of, as with previous Total War games, it is very much about using the terrain, and that's especially true for the dwarfs, right? Like, all the dwarfs' damage, or most of it at least, comes from their ranged units. They're like cannons, and they're kind of Quarrelers, and kind of like all those different, and the Thunderers at the Thundering Falls. That's where all their damage comes from, but their melee line is very good at holding off
Please note that these goblins do not have health insurance. That's all I'm gonna say.
Enemy advances, so that's kind of what it is. They're kind of a two-part army. It's about like kind of defending the line while using your range units to just deal that heavy damage here.
Oh, so you've got, is that a couple of ranged units at the back there, but mostly goblin spearmen?
Yeah, there's a lot of goblin spearmen, a lot of goblin archers in this battle. Oh, look, Iron Drake's firing.
Oh, lovely.
It's dealing a lot of damage there, so kind of they're hitting hard.
I mean,
and they're
they're
also
quite
good in
big
melee.
units of goblins, but they are easy to rout, right?
So you'll see here the Goblin Spider Eyes are actually trying to kind of find gaps in your formations to try and hit the kind of range units around your back. So, you know, they'll very much be trying to flank you in order to take out your range units. You know, they're very good at picking the soft targets.
Yeah, this is completely ruining
brilliant.
yourself rather quickly.
So as the dwarfs, you've got to be really kind of aware of what's going on. Well, I suppose as
In
anyone,
the
you've got to be very
flank.
aware.
Oh man, right. They're gonna
Oh, no.
straight into my range units.
You know, as the dwarfs, if you lose your range units, you're actually in a lot of trouble because you're not dealing the damage you need to deal to counter the enemy's kind of forces.
So that red icon that was just there on the left, so when you click that, it will take you exactly to that where the ambush is coming
Yeah,
from, so you
totally.
can see what you're up against.
And we also display that on the battlefield as well, right? So you can
Yeah.
actually see its location. You can just sort of glance over and go, oh, okay, that's where they're coming from.
So yeah, another wave coming in from the side here. Oh, 5 units, is that? Yeah, oh, and
Oh,
some
No!
Doom Divers as well. Great.
So this is something that's very kind of particular to quest battles as well. You know, we're bringing reinforcements at you from lots of angles that maybe you wouldn't normally see from a campaign game because we're actually in control of kind of where the enemy comes from, like kind of where the deployment areas are. We're able to kind of throw some curveballs at you to kind of try and keep the challenge like interesting for it, basically.
I really like how sneaky the AI is being.
Form these guys back up. You know, fortunately, I did all right here because even dwarf ranged units are like, they're pretty heavily armoured, so you can come back as well. I think they were chasing some guys off the field there. Because, you know, these points at the back and the side, they also count as kind of exit points for routers.
Well, that's the interesting thing because for the first time, I think in a Total War game, you've actually got non-square playable areas, right? Like you're fighting in the Dwarfen Underway here, and
Yeah, you've
as
got
you can
like
see,
a
it's a kind of
lane.
long tunnel, but there are points for your units to route out and for reinforcements to come kind of around the map, as it were. So you get some interesting battle.
Uh-oh,
What's that?
from the rear owl.
Oh, hey, excellent.
What's coming in?
And it's some trolls.
So we've got some trolls lumbering.
So
And again,
trolls
there's
are
that
a
icon.
monstrous unit.
And a giant.
It's
Brilliant.
something that Al can really
Nice.
leverage his slayers and actually do a lot of damage should he
Yeah,
choose to.
It's Slayer. It's Slayer o'clock. Actually, I'm going to bring my Thunderers up as well because they're quite good armor piercing, and you know, the trolls and that giant are pretty.
Yeah, armor piercing's definitely useful here. But I mean, that info panel on the left-hand side is really useful to see kind of that extra bit of translation if you're not totally familiar with the Warhammer Fantasy Battles universe. That will give you a good indication of what's good against which unit. So the Slayers are anti-large, so Al's putting them in against the giant.
Watch this.
Whee!
I love the way, once again, like the kind of charging stuff, the way units kind of leap in, so the slayers will kind of leap in with both axes and slice, but the giant's going to be dealing a lot of damage. But since there's so many of the slayers, they're surrounding him and hitting the giant on lots of different sides, so kind of they're dealing little damage over time, whereas the giant is kind of one massive
One
hit of damage
slow,
there, yeah.
massive, yeah.
With massive knockback, so you know, they're taking damage from it, but they're going to be whittling down its health very quickly. So if Al hovers over it now, you can probably see it's got quite low health. Oh, and it's gone!
Down!
Look at that. Excellent.
Yeah, once again, the character in all the animations is absolutely
Oh, he's got those routing as well. Oh, they're look.
Oh.
They are right up in my Thunderers. This is not good. Right. Thorgrim holding the line at the front there, keeping the troops happy, obviously.
So Thorgrim also has his General Zora, right? Like generally when you press down space or something, you can see the General Zora, but we've also added some new features. So on the right there, as you'll see, like you can now toggle on and off features on spacebar, but then also lock them. So even when spacebar isn't held, you can see your General Zora, for example, and things like that. And it's just kind of little ways where letting you kind of customize the UI to your play style and get it so you could show like health bars for every single unit, for example, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's actually quite cool.
Right, it looks like the big forces at the distance are on the move as well now, so let's get everybody ready for a big frontal attack. Look, they're still chopping away. Oh, they're going down, look, they're wavering. Is it still 10? Oh, my poor
but your air support has arrived.
Ah, fantastic. Let's get over there. Right.
So these are some of my favourite Dwarfen units. These are the Dwarfen gyrocopters. You know, kind of, they rely on machines, right? They haven't got any magic or anything like that, so they're relying on these kind of fast-moving units to kind of make up for their lack of mobility on the battlefield. So they're able to fly around, deal a lot of damage with their kind of guns, but they also have a special ability, which is to be able to drop bombs, so that when you press the ability button, which is on the bottom left-hand side, you can actually drop bombs at the location of your gyrocopters.
Oh, I see.
You know what? I'm going to get them over
So
here.
you can actually kind of do your own little bombing run, basically, kind of flying across the enemy and just drop the bombs at the right time.
See, that would be useful right at the far back where there's quite a large line, and so,
Exactly,
they've got to
yeah.
be directly above to benefit from the bombs.
Exactly,
Right.
yeah. So it's kind of it's a bit of a skill shot.
So if you line them up like that, you can see their... You can see the movement icons on the floor there. So if I line them up in a good spot, hopefully they won't... Oh, they've moved. Perhaps they know what's
think
coming.
it's still covered.
Let's do that. Let's get down there. Right, grenade time. Off you go.
Oh, that is satisfying.
Oh, I'm going to drop my second load as well. There we are. Look. Yeah, brilliant. That's killed it. That's killed a few of them. That'll knock their morale a bit as well. So, you know, useful. Oh.
So from experience with the gyrocopters, it's best to kind of fly behind and shoot from behind a unit.
Yeah, it's like generally best to kind of be away and sort of try to target kind of their land units, the units that can't hit you, right? Like anything that's a melee unit's not going to be able to kind of run up and smack you. So you want to stay away from their range, because their range can actually take you down. Like if Al were to leave them all in range of the enemy archers like he's doing right now, like he would actually find that his gyrocopters get routed and killed very quickly, because actually they're quite weak against ranged, right? Like, you know, ranged units take down flying units, arrows pepper them, you know, they kind of eventually fall. But melee units, you know, there's not really too much counter.
What was that orange? Is that Nightshade and Curse of the Bad Moon? Oh,
It's all gone wrong.
Oh, it's all gone over there though, so it doesn't look like this.
So when Curse of the Bad Moon is cast, of course, it kind of moves in a random direction. So sometimes it works for you, sometimes it won't.
so
Obviously, at that
it's
point.
a vortex spell, right? So
Yeah.
oh, I see. Okay.
There's Knobnails. Look, it looks like he's used his
getting in.
magic and he's
Gone
got
straight
stuck
into the
in.
melee.
Wow, this is interesting. Oh, well, he's fighting some routing troops, but
It's actually seizing an
my
opportunity.
long
there.
beard's on him, so
So that Arachnarok is still running around dealing damage, similar to the Giant. Like, it's really kind of large damage-dealing unit there, so it's going to be
With
taking big
added
jumps.
goblins firing down from his back, which is
So Thorgrim's
helpful.
taken damage there, so like as Al can see there, he's got a potion of healing which he can cast himself. This will give him regen over time, so it'll start kind of regenning some of the health that he's lost in battle. So, you know, kind of timed use of this, because it's a one-use item, right? Like,
Right.
once you've drunk it, there's no more to
Yeah.
drink. Like, so, you know, he's got to pick the right time to use
Is that
what
the
is there.
ruby ring?
that's actually the fiery ring of Thori.
Oh,
So
awesome.
Yeah, so like characters from campaign are picking up these items and are then able to bring them and use them in battle to kind of help fight
Awesome.
these situations. It's obviously been used to good effect there.
I mean, considering there's that bit of narrative that with the named characters, I guess you want to keep them alive, so those health potions are definitely beneficial.
Yeah, like it really does help. I mean, as I say, since they're immortal, they're only wounded, but you know, them falling in battle is a big
Yeah,
thing, right?
yeah.
Like the enemy's going to take a really large morale, like you're going to take a large morale penalty even from them falling. And
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know,
It's-
losing Thorgrim in a battle like this, he's kind of a charismatic leader. You know, the dwarves rely on the discipline and holding together. When he falls, they've kind of lost all that, so keeping him alive is actually very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then he's also a really good damage dealer, so you've got to kind of make that choice between, you know, do I throw him in there where he's going to be useful, or, you know, do I risk him? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you've got to kind of choose between them. But then you've got heroes like the Thane that Al's got there. So, like, you know, the Thane is really good as well. You know, kind of similar power to someone like Thorgrim.
if I lose Thorgrim here, I'm going to be in trouble.
You will be in a lot of trouble.
Get the charge on.
There you go. So you can see the Longbeards charging in there.
Oh no! Run away, Thorgrim!
I love their beard animation. It's just fantastic. They're dusting the ground with their beards as they run.
There are some absolutely epic beards going down
Oh, yeah.
for the Dwarfen army, I think. Oh, he's got out. Yep, that's good. Oh, and the Arachnarok's going to rout.
Let's hope so.
So he's just engaged there with the Longbeards and Valor.
It's off.
The Thane. Yes!
So the large
Oh yeah,
charge
take
gonna
that.
in the abdomen.
Right, I'm going to bring these guys back actually because I think I sorely need them. How are we doing? So I sent my Iron Drakes over here to start cleaning up these Orc archers that have been peppering me for ages.
As you can see, the fire of the Iron Drakes, like really low range, like they're not very, they can't fire very far, but the damage they're dealing over time is absolutely huge. Like they're really, really effective in that kind of situation. And of course their armor makes them actually quite good in melee, right? Like they're a small unit, so they're not going to last too long, but they can certainly defend themselves until support arrives to relieve them.
So if they are engaged, do they drop their cannons? Is that right with the Iron Drakes?
No, they'll be hitting people around the face with their
With
cannons.
them? Wow.
They get a cannon in the face, as it were.
No one wants a cannon in the face.
Oh,
yes!
crikey.
Hey!
Ow, the Hatman Bickham.
Oh, maybe work for that, I tell you.
Well done. Oh. Well, yeah, it looks like you took quite a lot of damage there.
Yeah, I
But
was panicking a bit, actually.
I think you only have one unit of Quarrelers in your Thane that are vaguely unscathed.
Yeah.
The Thane's unscathed. That's some pretty good
Oh, look,
work.
how many blows did he? He's at 1860 hit points still. Like, wow. What a hero.
And he looks
Right.
well happy about it as well.
Yeah, he does. Whereas,
I'd just like to note something else. The Thane has only gotten 4 kills.
Thorgrim just about his...
And Thorgrim has 46. So I don't know if Thorgrim does the damage. Like, yeah, he was attacked by a horde of goblins, but didn't take down. Like, let's maybe Thorgrim's not fully equipped yet. Just gonna say that right now. Like, if he was a fully equipped Thorgrim, then it would be pretty damn well armored.
159 hit points there.
He's a bit the worse for wear,
Yeah,
but
a little. I think he'll be, yes.
But Beard is still intact,
Right.
and the book is still full of grudges.
Indeed.
I think he's written off a...
Okay, let's begin, because all we know is they're just gonna talk a little, then boom, disappear. Right, so without sound, we'll begin. So, first we get a glimpse of the whole underground fighting system. Now, this is obviously a big thing. We normally don't see it. And maybe it's a faster way for dwarven armies, because on the surface they're very slow because they got short legs and heavy armor. But when they're underground, the dwarfs can go quicker, because one thing, they're used to it. Second thing, it's brilliant for them, because it's all narrow, and the dwarfs, as CA correctly stated, are a very defensive army. Moreover, I can point out a few weaknesses in the CA strategy. Like, the first thing I would like to bring up is the goblins. The goblins that were coming out the sides. Maybe they're garrisons from castles, or maybe they're just goblins joining for the sake of it for lore. I don't know. But all I can tell, I think Thorgrim is weak. He didn't take down a massive spider. So that shows heroes won't be overwhelming, but they'll be tanky enough to survive a good few moments, because Thorgrim routed a unit of goblins by himself. This is pretty much the basic of the dwarf army. Like, yeah, we're all thinking, oh wow, they have the Iron Drakes. But normally you wouldn't see Iron Drakes without Iron Breakers, which are the melee equivalent of them. What I also like to point out is the new information bar here. So we have armor. As you can see, Thorgrim is very well armored. But when we look at the unit of Iron Drakes, they have the exact same armor. Okay, right. But you see they also have base morale, speed, attack. So this is good. I do like this. But the weapon damage is actually quite shocking. But then again, it does say weak to armor. I think that needs to be tuned a little bit, because they have flamethrowers. Flamethrowers. We see the range is, well, the ammunition's also pretty large for most units, as proven by the goblins that were constantly being launched from the rear. Slayers, they're accurate for lore reasons. Like, they're brilliant for killing stuff, but, oh, fast for a dwarf. I get that joke. But they're not exactly amazing. The Dwarven Warrior is the main bread and butter of your force. These guys can be relied to hold on it. But at the same time, the Dwarven Warrior is only slightly better than the Thunderer or the Quarreler. Which is pretty funny. Because some people, and I've seen this in a board game, take armies of Thunderers and Quarrelers. And because they're decent combatants, they can fight head on. But usually you would pay that extra cost. And, well, Thunders and Quarrelers, I can't remember. Like, they both have heavy armor, they both have they can both take shields and that. But maybe the warrior will be cheaper or something, I don't know. So as you can see, dwarven warriors are exceptionally well equipped. The Longbeards, on the other hand, they're carrying the Great Axe in this force. So maybe we'll see alternation between the two, like you can select, like recruit what unit you want, or that you can choose them before battle. Don't know. Like, warriors can also take the two-handed axe, but I know. So we also have the health bar. That helps somewhat. Like, we have the unit number and the health. As you can see, dwarfs are particularly tanky. But in CA case, he's not using them right. Like, seriously. Let's take, for example, roundabout. Let me think here. So many flaws, so little time. Well, this bit was good of CA. Like, it shows off the Slayers. They can do their job, but they will still die. So maybe monsters will be expensive. It really depends on the pricing and how it works. Like, we didn't see any artillery shoot at the monsters, which is quite sad. And we see trolls are very fragile units. Fragile in the sense of a troll, anyway. Organ guns and that. Now, this is the bit that annoys me. He wasn't paying a concentration. Whoever the player was, you know, like, look at this. You have the goblins advancing in the back, and you have the archers. You should easily use the flame cannons or organ guns to hit the archers instead of letting the units. And I know this was just a show, but I can't help being picky. There's also some risk to flame cannons, and you've seen that. So the Longbeard's really taking damage from these trolls. That shows that the dwarfs can be broken eventually. But quite disappointingly is the number of kills heroes get, especially how they mention, oh, Fulgrim's a great damage dealer. We only see Fulgrim get around about 46 kills. That's not including the massive spider. And yes, he was being attacked by a massive spider, and I can understand that. But the Thane, I don't really see the use in combat heroes. Like, what will the Dwarven Ruinsmith do? He's great at rejecting magic, but that's about it. And you need an Anvil of Doom for that, and trust me, if you have one of those things on the field, you can immobilize the entire army. And a personal earthquake underneath every goblin's feet. So now we see the Gyro Bomber. It's somewhat effective. Like, it's got fast movement, it's brilliant anti-infantry, but the question, and it only has 2 bombs, but there's the question. Like, you're firing it over goblins, kills a few goblins, that's it. Kills a few more goblins, and the bomb doesn't recharge. Or, that's at least what I don't think. Like, you would think they would hold more bombs, or they would have a bigger boom. Now here's Fulgrim against the spider. Aye. So Fulgrim getting his butt handed to him by a massive spider, despite being well armored and all that. Don't know how powerful the spider is, but it does show that they're weak. He completely leaves his right flank, whilst all his dwarfs over here die. That shows that the dwarfs individually cannot fight well. They'll eventually be overwhelmed by superior numbers. But, yeah, again, it depends on pricing. Like, what's the point in bringing dwarven warriors, who are essentially quarrelers and thunderers without range weapons? What is the point in them? Like, yeah, they can hold your line, but that's about it. Iron Drakes, on the other hand, are good. And you can see they still have a fair bit of morale. Well, ammunition. All of them. So maybe that might be tweaked a little bit, and you can see the goblins still flying in. Yeah. In this case, this one's interesting, because the shaman, the goblin, no wait, that's the warlord. The goblin shaman survives for a pretty long time, and I don't know if this was a micro mistake or not. You see Fulgrim here. He's racking up his kills, but he's doing it very slowly. I say that as he gets 4 kills. 5. 6? No. And I have to admit, these are goblins. They're weak. So why is Fulgrim struggling against them if he's meant to be this great damage dealer? Then again, it's just pre-alpha. I'm pointing pointing out weaknesses here. Does show that heroes can eventually be overwhelmed, but I think Fulgrim, who's a heavily armored beast of war, who's on a throne with 4 other dwarves carrying him, should at least be able to stand one unit of goblins. You see the flamethrowers being used here. Very powerful units. I mean, like, these are goblins. They're cheap. But they're goblins. They will overwhelm you. The gyrocopters do have a secondary weapon. It's like a shotgun. That's basically how to put it. It's a shotgun. You see here we have we have fire, so maybe there's going to be elemental damage. You know, like, you can't do as much damage to a fire dragon if you're using fire, but if you're using ice. But this is just all my thoughts. You see, the health system really does come into effect. Like, units, I don't really know how to describe it. Like, maybe once the health drops to a certain bit, units will start dying off. And you see the dwarfs, they still got a fair bit of health, but their unit numbers are very large. Now, Fulgrim, go away. I'm disappointed in you today. You didn't kill it. You didn't kill a massive spider. Like, oh yeah, Fulgrim takes that charge like a man. Look at that. But Fulgrim he's not really doing that damage. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. So here's the Longbeards with their armor-piercing weapons hitting into the back. We've seen a little cool animation. So maybe they're bringing back the Medieval 2 style. Everything adds up in the end. And then there'll be a kill motion. I think for the massive spider, there should be like 1,000,001 chance of this happening. One dwarf runs up, hammers it in the head, climbs on top, and just decapitates it. It's Warhammer. Let's be a little bit fancy. So maybe Fulgrim hasn't reached the full epicness of his quest. This is just me, obviously. Like, I know, yes, he's firing a fireball, but it hardly did anything to the spider. And look at this. He's got the battle cleaned up. And we see the AI, although they did mention it's great, there is the problem of it not concentrating fire on the Iron Drakes. Yes, the Iron Drakes are amazingly armored. They can withstand hundreds of damage, unlike Fulgrim. Just saying, Fulgrim. And there's the thing. The Goblin Warlord survives, despite engaging all those, maybe it was a massive spider, but all those Dwarven warriors it engaged. But when Fulgrim engages a massive spider, and I'm presuming Fulgrim's better armed than a goblin, he doesn't win. So a few flaws there, but overall, I find the system to be very unique and interesting. So will the goblins be coming from garrisons, swarming the dwarfs as they go underneath the underway? And the underway is a faster transportation, but obviously holds massive risks for the dwarfs. And the only other way for the dwarfs to travel is going over land, which means they're slower, and means they lose that defensive battle because they'll be fighting in the open. And the dwarfs, the only thing they have for practically cavalry use is the gyro bomber and copter, which comes in few units and only does a certain amount of damage. So maybe don't forget to comment, subscribe, and feel free to chat below because I will be replying to all your comments.